My God, I'm muted. Good evening, everybody. Wow, I haven't done this in a while, but it's great to be back with Speaking of Jazz, presented by the West Michigan Jazz Society. Tonight, we have a really great program for you. It's called Young, Gifted, and Black. And this is our first in a series of 4 Black History Month panels, kicking off the celebration this month with a variety of our wonderful West Michigan institutions. First of all, I want to draw your attention to the fact that at GR Noir on the 12th of February, there will be a wonderful concert with the Pamela Wise Harrison and Wendell Harrison Ensemble. You don't want to miss that. They're legendary musicians who are coming over from Detroit. So get your tickets. We'll have a ticket link for you later in the evening, but you're going to want to hit that up. Then the next thing that we have going on is a performance by the Galen McKinney Group, and her group will perform on the 21st of February. I had to double check. And that's going to be a terrific show as well. So make sure you get on out to that. That'll be at the Casino Club as part of the West Michigan Jazz Society's Monday Night Jazz Gumbo series. All right. Anyway, without further ado, let's get on to the panel tonight. I'm really excited to introduce three wonderful young musicians who are on the scene right now and in Michigan. And it just so happens that all 3 of them are saxophone players. I did not plan it that way, I promise, but here we are. So you guys have to all show them some saxophone love. First up, I would like to welcome Houston Patton. Houston is a student at Hope College who is a jazz studies major under the direction of Stafford Hunter and Robert Shipley. And he studies privately with my former colleague, Tom Lockwood. So please welcome Houston. Give it up. Put your virtual hands together. Yeah, right on. How's it going, Houston?
Good
To see you, man.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah. Our next panelist tonight attends Michigan State University, but he is no stranger to West Michigan. He's a graduate of East Kentwood High School, where he pursued studies with James Ross, Dr. James Sawyer, as well as Mr. Marshall Whirling, and of course, the inimitable Bob Nixon. Please give it up for Kevin Brewster. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good. Thanks so much for being here.
Of course.
Last but certainly not least, our final panelist is a native of Grand Rapids, but went off to school at the University of Michigan, where he pursued jazz and rocket science. No, where he pursued jazz and pre-medicine and actually, I'm not 100% sure. He's going to have to correct me on that one. But anyway, please give a warm welcome back to the wonderful Alain Sullivan. Alain, remind me.
Hey, how's it going, y'all?
What'd you study at U of M?
Yeah, I did a biomolecular science, and you were right with pre-med.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyway, we're so happy to have all these wonderful, talented musicians with us. And I just thought that to begin our panel, I just wanted to have everybody talk about what's something that's got you excited, that's going on. It can be music or not music. I want to hear about like what's making you happy these days. Man, nobody's happy.
No, I didn't know. It's cutting out really bad for me. I didn't catch any of that question. I'm sorry.
Oh, my bad. So sorry. I'm asking what makes you all happy? What's making you all happy right now?
Whew. A lot of things, man. I don't know if y'all want to go first. I don't mean to
You're up,
step on
Alain.
y'all's feet, but
You're up, Alain.
yeah, I guess just that we're still finding a way to chug along. We're coming up about 2 years on this godforsaken pandemic, and despite all that we've sacrificed and lost, that we're keep on keeping on. So that's what's making me happy right now. And of course, listening to music as always and playing always makes me happy.
Works for me. Anybody else happy these days about anything?
Yeah. I'm pretty happy with just like a lot of people that I've met over the past year. That's been really helpful. And just like getting to meet a lot of musicians, especially, and it's not even just musicians, but just people and like or people outside of like I don't know, like it's not always just where I am in school or just like at home. It's just like people around. That's good. And also just been pretty like happy with the fact that like I am learning and as a jazz musician, like being happy with the fact that I am still like able to grow and able to explore like different ways to play and listen to like new music and all that because I'm not locked into a set like style genre or anything. And I just think it is cool to be able to take it to one side of like jazz and then take it to another side and all of that. So I think that is pretty like that's making me happy as well.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty outstanding.
Yeah. So yeah, with me, it's pretty much the same thing that Alon and Houston saying. Coming out of that we still in the pandemic, I'm just glad that we still being able to sort of do what we do, but of course with some precautions. Um, I'm just glad I'm still able to make music. I'm glad that I'm still hanging around my family. I'm still around my friends. I'm glad that I'm at school and I actually get to do what I want to make a career out of. Um, yeah, like when the pandemic first started, like not even just Michigan State, all the schools around, it was just like virtual everything, like, virtual band, virtual octets and stuff like that. But, now this year, even though like, COVID is still coming up and, it's still going down and stuff like that, like, we able to have concerts, and everything like that. So, I mean, I'm pretty just happy and I'm just blessed to be able to, just continue, just being around people and, just continuing to grow with music and just me as a person, So I'm just happy just to, be alive and just be here.
Man, that's beautiful. All three of you are such beautiful, positive people. And Laura out there showing Kevin some love. She's proud of you, man. Hey Jennifer, good evening. How you doing? Yeah, so that's good. I wanted to start off with trying to be positive because so many times I think when we talk about the music and particularly when we talk about our careers during this time of still being in a pandemic, so many times I think everybody's ready to go negative like that. Like everybody's like, man, this is terrible. I like hate everything about and like while that's true, like it's difficult. I just think that there is a lot that we can look forward to as musicians. And there is a lot that we can be positive about. And I think like a lot of people when they think of Black History Month, and correct me if I'm wrong, but at least from my outside perspective, um, I see people who are especially like the teachers, um, who are like, all right, cool. So, we have slavery and Jim Crow laws and all this other stuff that is you need to know about. But for me, where I am at my career, I want to mainline Black excellence this month. And like I wanna like to celebrate Black excellence. And I guess like it's out of that kind of love that I wanna, to kind of direct our panel tonight, because I think there are so many times when we just miss that. Like we just miss it in our discourse, and I'm wondering, am I crazy here? Like, do any of you all feel that as well, or?
No, I don't think you're off base at all, man. I think it's so easy just in general to focus on the negative and sort of the struggle of it all, because that sort of teaches us the most in the shortest amount of time. But also kind of as a country, it's difficult to look at the positive, because I think just the way American society operates after 300 years of the way it has operated, just being able to sort of relish and embrace and outwardly celebrate the positiveness of being Black, and just any non-Eurocentric way of living can feel like an attack to a lot of people when it's obviously not, but and as a result, you kind of go around with this rigmarole of, oh, we're just gonna talk about the same thing every Black History Month, like you said, Jim Crow, slavery. And I'm sure 20 years from now, George Floyd will be a part of that. And obviously, we should be talking about it, and we should never forget it. But yeah, we got to focus on the positive stuff. And absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think I agree with both of you, because it's like it's Black History Month, and I'm like, it's exciting. But then also sometimes it's like here we go with just like a lot of negative. I know here with the Black Student Union, we're doing a theme where we talked about it, Black Genius, and that's what we want to highlight, because there's just a lot of like, genius in within just like, the Black community, and also like just a lot of people of color too, that's just not highlighted and enough. But then the other thing is like, in terms of like positivity, I think like talking about like MLK, right? Then that's like, they only like people. A lot of people only look at the positivity part of that, and then it's like, well, this happened too, and so then it's like two sides of it too, because sometimes it's like people either sugarcoat something, or it's just negative, right? And it's just not, and it's just, well, we have more to offer than just, and sometimes it's not always good or bad. It's like there's so much more, that's interdimensional between, what we actually have to offer. And I mean, we're people, so we offer this, and maybe I'm mad about this, but I'm happy about this, so it's just, it's interesting. But at the very least, there does have, like, there should be, for sure, more emphasis on like positive impacts that Black people have made in society.
Yeah, and it what you said, Houston, kind of reminded me of two things. There's this I don't know if I'm sure y'all have heard RDC World, the comedy group. If anyone's heard of them, they do a lot of funny skits and stuff.
Yeah.
They did this great skit on Black history where one guy's playing a teacher. He's like, "Oh, today we're going to be learning all about Black history. Get ready." So all the kids get their notes and stuff. Write down that Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves and Martin Luther King had a dream, and on to World War II, yada, yada, yada. And as satirical and funny as it is, it just kind of shows it's a lot more accurate than it seems on the surface. We kind of just skid through this month as a whole. And I think especially today, when we in a world where, you know, you can't necessarily take things for granted, I I think it's even more important than ever to illustrate it. And what you mentioned, Houston, about highlighting Black geniuses, one of the first books my dad got me when I was little was Black Pioneers of Science and Invention, which is just this great catalog of Black scientists who, you know, invented and engineered things that we use today. A Black man invented the gas mask and the stoplight, or the Black man invented something as simple as a keychain, you know, which is one of the most useful things we use today. And they're just so many different things that go unappreciated that Black people have contributed, and even big things that Black people contribute. I mean, look at the music that we listen to today. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that more. But yeah, it's just about appreciation and acknowledgement, and just embracing that positive message of excellence.
Absolutely, Alon. And I do want to make sure that I mention, you know, of course, I think this is Kevin Jones, that is Kevin Dalton Jones. We do have to recognize those who suffered for the music and paved the way so we can enjoy what we enjoy now. And yeah, the music that we listen to and love was made during segregation. Absolutely. And yeah, I apologize if it came off like I was saying that we should forget that, you know, because I wasn't meaning to come off that way. And I just want to make sure that's clear. Kevin, it looked like you had something to say. I think I saw you unmute.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, everything that Alon and Houston was saying is totally true. Like, there's not a day that I remember during Black History Month when I was like, and even elementary school when I was in class and it was saying that they're gonna teach us more about Black history, and it was literally like just slavery this, Abraham Lincoln, and all that stuff. And then they talked about MLK, Malcolm X, you know, and stuff like that. But you know, it didn't really get until I got of age, like, you know, older, not of age, but older, where I did my own research, like, you know, on different African Americans that benefited the world and everything. So, you know, like, I always think that, you know, if you see things through positivity, that like things will continue to get better. You know, and that's how I'll always think. Like, I try my best to think positive all the time and stuff like that, because, you know, things could be worse, but, you know, I just always want to try my best to think positive in these situations. So yeah, I totally agree with everything everybody said.
Yeah, and you know, again, it's just what I think I hear everybody saying is just that a balanced approach, you know, like, and what I hear you all saying is that you weren't really in school, at least, you weren't hearing a lot about Black genius and Black excellence. So, and I think what a better vehicle than Black music to talk about Black genius. I mean, come on, like,
Yeah.
I mean, you can listen to, like, I don't know, 10 seconds of Freddie Hubbard, like 10 seconds of Lee Morgan,
Yeah.
and Bird, Cannonball, you know, Oscar Peterson, like the list goes on. 10 seconds is all you need to know that, you know, Mary Lou Williams, you know, 10 seconds is all you need to know, like, these people were dealing on a separate plane, like another level of like existing as a human. So one question I had for you all is, when things do get difficult, what keeps you going?
You know, I can go ahead and go. So, you know, I'm gonna just go off by start saying I'm a religious man. So, you know, always try my best to keep God first, and, you know, and praying and stuff like that always keeps me going, because, you know, God always keeps me going. But, you know, other than that, um, you know, like just if I'm feeling down or stuff like that, I just uh, do what I feel that I'm best at, and which is, you know, playing music. Even if that's writing down music, writing a song that's like based off of how I'm feeling at the moment, or if you know, even if it's just practicing, you know, that's always uh, will always lifts me up. And then also, you know, talking to people that I hold close, like my mom, my dad, different family members, my mentors. If I ever need to talk to them and about anything that I'm feeling on my mind, everything, they always there to, you know, lift me up and all that. So, you know, that's what I would pretty say, pretty much.
Yeah, to go off of that, like what keeps me going really is definitely God, right? And I put all my trust in God as much as I can. And knowing that there's I have a purpose and believing that I have a purpose, right? Because that I think it's a difference, right? Everybody, like anybody can tell you have a purpose, but once you know you have a purpose and you believe it, that's just fuel forever. Um and like I don't honestly, when I wake up, even like regardless of what's going on, I always just remember that whatever my purpose is, it's already inside me right now, right? And like I don't like, I wouldn't need any outside factors to tell me that. And not to be cocky or anything, but it's just like at this point in my life, just realizing like I'm like who I am now, and what all like just the rest of the things that I have to give to the world is here, right? And I can learn more to bring that out. And I think that's just what keeps me going, like dang, like I really have, like I'm really doing something that matters and everything. And of course mentors and friends and everything. And music, and then especially like music, what keeps me going, like not even just playing the saxophone, because sometimes I'll get like so deep within the saxophone, and then that like kind of like I don't know, sometimes I have to put it down because that might be what's giving me the problem, right? I'm just like, I gotta play, I need to sound better or whatever. I'll just play piano or play drums or something, and then that helps. And then eventually I can't stay away from the saxophone for too long, right? But just music has always served as like an outlet, and as a way to just remind me to keep going. Or like at the end of practice sessions, if I'll always find the time in there to play something just for fun, right? So that, and that's the last thing I'll remember about my practice session, so I'm more willing to go back and play. And so that always keeps me going. And also knowing that I'm really like not at the level I want to be at yet, and I'll never feel like I will be, but that always just gives me fuel to, like, I always know I can do more.
Yeah, man. Motivation. I'm trying to think. So I'd probably say a lot of it's similar with y'all. I'm a little different. I'm not the most religious person in the world, but I value life and um, the relationships I've built, and just trying to do what I can and put my stamp on, um, whether it's music or medicine, hopefully in the future. I think definitely the biggest thing is just knowing that I can always improve in some way, shape, or form. Uh, and I know what I need to improve, especially. That definitely I feel goes a long way once you sort of figure out where you are and what specifically you want to accomplish, can kind of help light that path that you need to take. But other than that, yeah, I just kind of echo everything that everyone else has said. So
I forgot to add motivation. The three of y'all, right? Like hearing y'all play, like for real, hearing y'all play was like, oh
nah,
shoot.
man.
And I and I got over the hurdle, like of like hearing somebody and I'm like not motivated anymore. well, Dr. Van Humor, you got me out of that mindset, right? And I would hear you play, and first I'm like, dog, like I can't even, And so look, if I because if I didn't have you to tell me like to have a different mindset, by the time I heard Kevin, I would have been through. I would have been like, I'm selling my horn. But
I was almost through when I heard Kevin. I was almost through when I heard you,
I'm
bro.
still almost through.
Yeah,
Right.
bro.
So, like y'all cold for real, and just knowing, and especially being people that people that look like me doing stuff in doing what I want to do in such a high level. It's like, even if I wasn't motivated, I don't have time to not be motivated, right? I gotta be shedding for real. And so yeah, so thank y'all, all three of you.
And of course, man. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank y'all too, bro.
Yeah. I feel like definitely what you were saying, Houston. Hearing people that look like us, like for me, I remember the first time I heard Emmanuel Wilkins, or like Yasay Ali, or Pat Bartley, Kassan, absolutely Kassan. It's probably mostly just because I played with him so much. He's always one of those names that come to mind. And just, not even just saxophonists, but a lot of drummer friends and pianists and bassists, just seeing how they put their stamp on everything. It's just so cool,
Yeah, and especially here at I'm like this because I go to Michigan State, so of course I'm gonna do that with Michigan State. But like in Michigan State, the jazz department is such a diverse program, and just being here and seeing all like these different minorities play jazz and trying their best to be the best that they can be, it continually motivates me. It don't even matter if like they on saxophone, like if they on bass, drums, like piano, trumpet, and so it continually motivates me because they are doing their best every day to be the best that they can be, and then I'm just trying to stay along. I'm trying to just like just be behind them and try my best to be the best that I could be as well. So that also helps as well. So yeah.
Yeah, to add on to that, when I went to visit Michigan State and I walk out, I walk into the music building and I'm looking around and I'm like, yo, like it's people like outside in the music building, like, checking out records and stuff. And it's people of color, right? And it's like, I'm like, what? And it was crazy. Like, and then like when I was listening to the jazz band play, and then I'm looking around, I'm like, bro, it's not even everybody, right? And I always tell people when I went back to Hope, I'm like, it's like when Miles came back from France, he was jacked up because France was such a like, it was such a difference coming back. But like, yeah, definitely it's like that's really good to just be around, a lot of time.
We got Jake in here, and Jake is saying that the jazz community is such a great motivator. Keeps him going, and seeing what everyone else is doing as an artist is inspiration for me too, not just in music, but in life. That's so beautiful, that, and I think it really speaks to where we're at, as a community. And I think the in life part, really, to me, during this pandemic, man, if it's taught me anything, it's like, oh man, like, yeah, this is, being able to be good humans and communicate and community with each other is man, that's like job one, and you all do that very, very well. We got a question, and I think I'm who's all coming to the jam session next Thursday at GR Noir?
I'm trying to make it down, man.
I should be. I might. The 10th. I got a HCJO rehearsal that night.
Oh dang! I did put my reservation in, so if I can make it down.
I don't know. I'm up in East Lansing, so I don't know. I don't got transportation, but we'll see.
Hey, I feel that, man. I'm like, oh, can you do this gig in Grand Rapids? No, I don't have my car. I wish, but yeah, I'll try and be there.
If that
Hopefully
was,
the roads will die down.
Kevin Jones, talking about community, jazz community, like I give him a lot of props, like putting me for real into the jazz community. Like I had that one gig with him with 10th World and GR Noir, and after that my life completely changed. Like, you know, I was like knowing, like I knew people. Then I met Koji, and then Koji was like, come to Detroit. Then I met a whole bunch of other people, and then it's like, oh, like it's such a blessing. Then I get to play in GR Noir and all that. So yeah, like motivation and like keeping me going, just like knowing there's people out there. Like, well, actually, it's probably not too many people out there like Kevin Jones, because that's rare. Because, you know, just people that's like that and killing, right? Like, and the killing, right? It's usually like somebody might be super nice, helpful, and get you there. They may not be a but he both, right? So,
right.
Thank you.
And I feel like he's touched everyone, you know. When I was growing up in high school, Kevin was there at the speakeasy session. Another shout out, Randy. We had a great session. Hopefully it'll get going again. It'd be nice to have 2 sessions a week and really get back in the shed, you know, keep me on my toes.
2 sessions a week in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Are you crazy?
No.
No,
know I'm
that's
not
great.
crazy.
No, that's
Maybe
great.
a little. Maybe a pandemic, you know. But man, and just GR Noir, to have a jazz club open in the middle of a pandemic, and have it be Black owned, and have it be presented, managed, just at every level with just such grace and poise and excellence, and it's just everything that being Black is. It's what it's always been. It's what it always will be. And also shout out to Nadia and Shaitan and Kevin. Just it's like a dynamite trio there.
For real.
We talk about Branford Marsalis trio or something. that's one that goes understated, you know.
Yeah, man. Well, we got, you know, I want you all to have your flowers. So Michael's up in here and he's saying that, speaking on behalf of the whole Hope Music Department, Houston's keeping us all grinding and trying to catch up every day. Keep going, bro.
Thank you, Michael. Hey, bro, Michael, you too. And I definitely got to catch up to Michael on his funk stuff, right? Because he'd be like, let's play a funk tune. I'd be like, bro, we not playing giant steps, right? So, man, thank you. I appreciate it.
So I wanna shift gears a little bit, and you know, I want to talk about like the kind of the state of the music today, and I want to talk about that because you all, young folks, are you young folks are just, you're the future, and you're also now, you're what's happening now. So, you know, I think it's really great to see, you know, people like you all, you know, reaching for their best every time. And I'm wondering, what's something that you find like really positive about, you know, what excites you about where you kind of see the music going? And I know, like, Kevin, you did the Next Generation big band, and so all that great stuff. So I'm just wondering, what's something positive that you all see about, you know, going on in the present and future of the music?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like you said, when I went out to early in the fall, I went out to Monterey, California, to perform at the Monterey Jazz Fest with the Next Generation Jazz Orchestra, and you know, just being out there in that lifestyle was just, it felt new, but it still felt like I knew what was going on, because I felt like the culture was still the same. of the music and how everybody should act. When we jam sessions, and all that stuff. So, um, to be honest, like I still feel like I'm pretty happy about how jazz will just continue to grow, um, and it'll just continue to do different things that I don't even know of, because jazz continues like changing every day, and it's a good thing. Um, it's not such a bad thing to have change and stuff like that, but it's not even much of a change, because like the modern music that jazz artists playing today, it wouldn't be there without like bebop and and stuff like that. So it's still here and stuff like that. So I'm just always just glad. To just see that the music is just keep continually growing, but the culture is still always going to be the same though, which is what I'm really glad about, is that the culture is not changing, even though the music is still continually growing and changing.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited about like the culture and I've been thinking about this a lot. That people, I think like the future of music and now people are really excited about being able to do what the greats did before us. And it's like I don't know, like maybe like years after, like just a couple years after, you know, uh things started to change, and it was more of a focus on like getting a job, you going to school, get a job, that's what you do. Now I think this generation is really like, let's get out there and play, right? I want to play. Let's go to jam sessions, let's do this, and just having that hunger. I think it's like bringing that back, and not saying that people didn't have it before, but I think it's like we have a lot of the information available to us, and we can watch documentaries and stuff, and just go online and see all of this stuff. And oh, they went to jam sessions every day. Well, guess what? I'm gonna go to jam sessions every day, and just bringing that like that vibrancy and all that vitality into the music, and keeping up with it, and really making jazz like cool. And like cool in the sense of this is the thing to do, right? Like Emmett Cohen is just make, like, I always think of him because he's just making it like just like the hippest thing, right? And I think people are starting to see jazz as like, oh wait, like this is actually fun. Like I can actually move to this, and it's getting and I think we're trying to like trying to paint the picture that it can actually be a form of popular music, and it's not only reserved for like people who are like sophisticated. Somebody told me I had a gig sometime somewhere, and it was a jazz gig. He said, "Oh, sophisticated." I'm like, well, I mean, like we're just we're people, right? Like this is fun, right? Like it. Yeah. So I just think it's like just I think we're making it fun, but also making it like a serious thing too, and realizing that we are doing what the masters did before us, and that is important.
Yeah, man, absolutely, bro. It feels sort of like a changing of the guard, sort of thing. Um, for me personally, I feel like the coolest thing that's happening today is the merging of different genres, which it's kind of weird to call it a merge because so many of what we hear stems from the same root, which is Black American music. And um, but just like for me, for instance, I grew up when I started clarinet and saxophone. I was playing the things that I'd hear on TV, Star Wars, Star Wars theme or video game songs. And now I could walk into a gig with an arrangement of something from Super Mario, and people dig it and it be hip. Or because in it, even though I majored in jazz and that's what I play, I mostly listen to R&B, especially from the 90s and early 2000s. I'd say a good 85% of what I listen to. Um, is R&B, and that I could arrange a song and it really just fit in what everyone else is playing, and for that to be more readily accepted than it has in the past is really um, heartwarming, and just feels good when you can share all of what you like instead of just having a slant. Sometimes you have to play a certain way, and it's always good practice, and it just helps diversify your playing. But sometimes you just want to play you with no strings attached, and that's becoming more accepted, and that's what it should be.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And I think there are so many times, and one thing, and don't get me wrong, I say this with the caveat that I am I'm an academic and I teach this, blah, 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 and et cetera. But there are so many times when I think we tell people something is right or it's wrong, or you can do that or you shouldn't do that, and it runs completely contrary to the spirit of the music and the spirit in which the music was created. I think there's a lot of that going on. And you all have been in school or are in school right now. And granted, you know, uh, for the most part, this isn't really talking about you know, the places where you all are coming up. You have had some really great, mentors, and Kevin, and certainly the great Rodney Whitaker and everybody at Michigan State. But there is seemingly like it's like, all right, cool. Uh, like, at least from my perspective in jazz, the education version of whatever that is. It's like, all right, let's get really obsessive about harmony, and like, let's forget the music's heartbeat. Let's forget rhythm. Okay, great. That's really productive. Um, and so I think, Alain, there's a lot of truth to what you said. That was my point with that. Sorry. Is that there's a lot of truth of what you said. What do you think is uh, something that you see in our community of musicians, and audiences, to that effect as well? What do you think is something that we could really be improving upon? Like, what is something that you'd like to see us do better? And by us, I mean all of us.
I can definitely uh, start off if you don't mind. I especially being in pandemic and a lot of what we do switching to online. Um, you get to see a lot of interesting ways that people sort of interact, and um, I think even though we really pride ourselves on being a welcoming music community, and I think in a lot of ways it is just by nature of what the music is. There is still a lot of cutthroatness to it, and I feel like in a way that's healthy in the sense that of trying to push you to improve, um, but also it can, it's like a seesaw. You got to balance it right, like just about everything in life. So I definitely think that we can find better ways of communicating our thoughts and how we feel about the music, and in general. But I also think just a general, not even looking in the jazz community, just society as a whole. I just think needs better education in the music that we listen to. Not a lot of people would know who Charlie Parker is, or John Coltrane, or Miles Davis, and that's a crime. The only jazz musician they probably know is Kenny G and quote unquote Louis Armstrong, which in and of itself is an issue because it's Louis. So I think in general there's a lot of education gaps just in the way we teach music, not in college, because by then you're learning it as a major. You're really diving deep into it. But just, growing up, in elementary school, I don't see why these kids shouldn't get some music history built into their curriculum, so they have a better appreciation of what they listen to, and maybe it'll inspire them to just go out and listen to different things. And I just think just trying to figure out a way to educate, and let's stop cutting our art programs. Absolutely. We've seen that happen quite a bit of recent, and it's the most important thing: art appreciation, Black art appreciation.
Yeah, Alon, that was beautiful, man. And I just want to say that, when we're talking about teaching students, at the more about popular music, you have to acknowledge that the roots of popular music in this country are the blues and jazz, and more specifically, the popular music in this country. It all just goes back to Africa. That we literally would not have any of that. And I think we need to do a better job, for sure, what you were saying, Alon, about when the students are young, about telling them where music comes from, and I had that conversation the other day with a student. Like, all the music you like, all the music you listen to, it all comes from Africa.
Yeah. And by that, in some ways, unintentional education gap that just can sometimes turn some really bizarre takes that I've seen on the internet, especially Twitter, which is just the most brilliant place for civil discourse and improving your knowledge base. But I just feel like, people need to really understand where this music comes from. I saw this one Twitter debate that I wish I hadn't, about a video game jazz musician who was arguing that we can use video game music to help save jazz in a way, to keep it going. And all these people just jumping at his throat about it. People who haven't played a lick of jazz in their life, And I think, had people not even playing it, but just understood where this music comes from and how it evolved, in the 20s and 30s, what are all our standards, the popular songs of that time. And now today we have like Strasbourg Saint Denis, we could consider a modern standard. 50 years from now, it'll be like, I don't know, Softly as in a Morning Sunrise of 2050 or something. And it's just so important. It really, really is.
Okay, side note, Alon, you got to send me that thread.
Oh,
Isaac's in here. Hey, Isaac, how you doing? He's sharing some love. GR's Young Lions of Jazz, much love and respect to you all.
speaking of a living legend,
That's
Mr.
right.
Norris.
That's
Oh, yeah.
right, Isaac Norris. Man. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? Oh, Houston. Sorry, my bad. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Sorry.
Well, I'm trying to think. The thing is, I'm trying to think about like the jazz community, like to what to work on, but then I keep going back to like education itself, and which is a different community. Like education and like music education, right? Is I think is one of the bigger problems, as opposed to like the jazz community. Because once you're like in the jazz community, actually, like it's is a lot of like, most of the time it's like hip cats, that know what they're talking about. But like, I don't know. I think maybe just being able to like take people's playing for like they're playing, maybe being more accepting of like someone's style, and instead of being like, oh, I don't like how they play. Like, I mean, like, it's like kind of like with the cutthroatness. Like, obviously, if you don't really like, if you're not like vibing with some like how someone plays, like, don't, I mean, just don't hire them for a gig, right? I mean, if you don't think you'll play well with them, but don't be like, don't tell other people not to check someone out or whatever just because you didn't necessarily enjoy the playing. Because they, I mean, they might, somebody might really mess with the music. I was thinking Kind of Blue came out at the same time one of Ornette Coleman's albums came out. And I was like, this could have been like somebody, like I know there are probably people like, oh, what is Ornette Coleman doing? Like, this is crazy, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of people probably didn't get to hear that album just because people didn't, told them not to listen to it, right? And I think I found that a lot, just people saying, oh yeah, you don't need to check that out. And then I actually end up liking some of the music that's like, and it might be a little like out there, but again, like, bebop was out there when bebop started, right? So, and I'm not just talking about just some like crazy like, stuff, but that like, avant-garde jazz stuff does, which is cool too, right? But maybe it's just like, oh, he played a lot of fourths in that bar. Like if someone's doing that on purpose, then like that's just them, right? I don't know. So maybe just being more cautious of like before you make like judgments, I guess, or whatever. Just make sure you know what they want to do before you just like, completely like ruin their name, if that makes sense. Like if they trying to sound like Charlie Parker and they not doing anything Charlie Parker does, that's a different story, right? But if they want to sound like who they want, like, themselves or whatever, and they still respect, Charlie Parker, then like let them do the thing. Eventually somebody gonna catch on to their vibe, I guess.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. I was gonna talk about that if Houston didn't, but yeah, it's a that's a real problem that I feel like that's going on in the jazz community. Um and yeah, like of course I 100% feel that if you're gonna play this music, of course you need to study. Like for me, as a saxophonist, right now I'm studying Johnny Hodges, Benny Carter, Lester Young, Coleman Hawkins. Like I'm studying all them. Of course you should study them, and of course you should know about them if you're gonna play this music. And of course you should study Charlie Parker, Dizzy, Bud Powell, like all them cats. Like of course you should. But yeah, like I feel like that, like Houston was saying and Alain, like that cutthroat of like it's really like I'm not like the old heads, jazz. Like when like if they hearing like you doing something new, they're gonna get on you and like say like that's not this music, you shouldn't do this. Like just going back to like being positive. Like they putting a negative name on whoever they is. Like a class that I'm taking here at Michigan State, Prof Whitaker. He's old. My bad. But yeah, Prof Whitaker, he teaches this class. It's called Jazz Styles Analysis. It's pretty much my favorite class that's here. And, it talks about the history of music and jazz. And, and we're on this unit right now talking about like the Cold War, jazz and like the Cold War and stuff like that. And then we're going to keep on going up to the Young Lions and stuff like that. And he was telling us a story about how when he was at a jam session, when he was about like 19 or 20, and he was, he was playing real good, and all these old cats was coming to him saying like, yeah, you sounded real good, like who you been listening to and stuff like that. And he was just like, telling us like how he was like so happy to say, because when he was around, when he was like 19 or 20 or whatever, Wynton Marsalis came out with his first album. And when he came out with that, of course, the old heads wasn't feeling that for real. So they kind of told Prof Whitaker that he shouldn't be listening to him, and he's not doing a good job of representing jazz, and stuff like that. And I feel like even with today, I feel like they kind of doing that, especially with Emmanuel Wilkins. Like I hear about that a lot. How kind of the older people that's still in like jazz are kind of like getting on him about like what he's doing in the scene and how he's kind of like changing like the name, like of what jazz is and stuff like that. So I feel like that's that's one of the toxic things in our community that could be fixed. Of course you're gonna have your opinion on it, but I feel like you shouldn't, straight up bash them and tell, a younger person that's coming up that they shouldn't listen to that person that's not doing a good job representing jazz. Like I said, of course I 100% feel that, that you should learn about them and stuff like that. But that's one of the things I feel that's like that should be fixed.
Yeah, I agree definitely. Like, yeah, you touched on some stuff, and yeah, like, and yeah, it's like like the difference of like someone not knowing how to play at all, right? Versus they really just trying to do something new, right? Because if somebody don't know how to play, they come into your gig, you open up a jam, and they sounding like they don't know what they doing, right? Then it's like, all right, like, you can tell them like, yo, like, come on, like, but I also like offer somebody help, right? Like, yo, like, I'm not trying to like get in your way, but if you need some like help, like, I'll like, let me know, and I can help you. I can, show you to somebody that can help you out, right? Just being supportive instead of like, yo, don't come back. Like, I don't ever want to see you again because you ain't play right, right? Because in a year they could be cold, right? Like, so I think that's another part of it. Like extend your hand when you see that somebody is like struggling, like, and they are, because they just, I mean, you can tell, right? As opposed to if somebody is really just killing it, but it might sound new, like right, like Emmanuel Wilkins and Patrick Bartley. I know Patrick Bartley was saying like same stuff, like, yeah, I wish the jazz community treated me better. That's what he said. And so yeah, just thinking about things like that. But
Yeah, and really, really important things to think about. And I just want to catch up with a few comments here. It's what they told Bird. Um, and then I think perhaps related comment. And again, forgive me because I can't see whose comment. Is that you, Kevin? Kevin, is that you who said Kamasi Washington? Um, yeah, it is. Okay, I'm just double checking, cross referencing my phone. Anyway, yeah, Kamasi Washington. Yeah, I mean, to me, man, to be 100% honest and clear with you all, I was not aware that people were throwing shade at Emmanuel Wilkins or at Patrick Bartley, because I think they're both killing, and I don't know where, like, I don't know where that came from. So that, like, them, getting shade is kind of new to me. So uh, yeah, I thanks for making me aware of that. Sometimes sometimes it just feels like it's like, oh yeah, everybody's talking about this, and it's like, oh, they are. I didn't know that. Um, yeah. So I just want to open it up. We have three amazing panelists tonight, and I was just wanted to open up before we leave. I'm wondering if anybody has any questions for any of our panelists. Um, you can ask a question of a specific panelist or all of the panelists. Let's open it up to just for a few minutes here to just make sure that um, we can get a good dialogue going. But I first want to thank all of our panelists for being here again. What a great discussion! What a great a privilege it is to hear from all of you to talk about the music and the community. Wow, it's you three are all like really just really ahead of your time and uplifting people to be around. And so even virtually, you're uplifting people to be around. Um, yeah. So thank you all for being here. Owen, we got a question.
Yeah. All right.
Kevin's wondering if you all are going to do a recording together. I think you should.
I'm down.
Yeah,
We even have a
that's something that
quartet
should
here.
happen.
Love
Hey,
We
to.
can make it happen.
let's
We'll do it.
drop a GoFundMe link so we can get in the studio.
Yeah.
No,
Let's
I
do
would
it.
There
love
you
to.
go.
I'm absolutely down, man.
Mm-hmm.
Just call me. I'll be there.
Me
Try and
too.
keep up with y'all.
Shoot.
Got any more questions out there? Kevin says he'll play in the rhythm section.
Oh yeah, that's going platinum.
We coming for the Grammys.
Yeah, that's the first
we'll
tune.
hit you up,
For the
though.
Grammy.
When we get happening.
Any more questions from anybody out there? What somebody's favorite food is? And talk about their favorite color.
Favorite horn players. Who are y'all favorite horn players?
All right. Houston asked the question.
Yeah. You know, so I gotta say, the first person that I listened to, and the first solo I kind of played, like whose wasn't, like when you go on YouTube and like search up jazz solos, Take 5 will pop up. So that's like when I was in 6th grade, that's like the first solo I ever played. So Paul Desmond, he always gonna be the one of my favorites. But people I'm trying to sound like Cannonball, Sonny Stitt. I'm also trying to sound like Kenny Garrett, and stuff like that. And just right now with like who I'm studying, I'm really trying to I just like transcribe a solo for my jury, Rosetta by Benny Carter. That's what I'm really trying to really dig into. But like with Prophet Vera, I'm studying Lester Young right now, and then I'll get to Coleman Hawkins and stuff like that. But I'm just really trying to dig more into Benny Carter, and then Charlie Parker, and all that type of stuff. So yeah.
Ooh, favorite horn players, man. Other than the usuals, of course, the Birds, the Cannonball, the Train, the Dexter Gordon, the Sonny Rollins. We're all influenced by him. For me specifically, I listen to a lot of Gary Thomas. I quite like his approach. I feel like it spoke a lot to what the sound I was trying to go for. Just because it was my sophomore year into freshman year. I was just really figuring sort of where I sit just in my approach, and I feel like just hearing the way he did it helped me illuminate that a lot. Rich Perry and Joe Lovano were two of the others that then helped better inform that as well. Most recently, I heard this recording by this guy who's just next level, Archie Shep on tenor, who I'd never heard this guy up until like a week ago, and oh my god, just incredible. And I've also been digging Ray Charles, the saxophonist. During the pandemic, I watched the movie Ray and checked out some of his band. And David Fathead Newman is a really cool guy. He has my favorite version of Skylark ever. It is absolutely spectacular. Blanking on the album that it's on, but it's the second tune off that album. I'm actually pull it up real quick because it's such a good version. It's not really what you expect when you hear Skylark. It is David Fathead Newman. It's off of Straight Ahead, David Fathead Newman. So that's spectacular version. So yeah, those are some of my guys right now.
I love Fathead, man. Kevin used to play with Archie Shep.
Oh, I'd love that, Kevin. I'd appreciate that.
I'll send you the record from that tour. Here are some of Kevin's answers here. Bird, Train, Dexter, Rollins, Sonny Stitt, Charles McPherson, Mel Dalton.
I love
Archie Shaw.
Charles. He was our guest artist my junior year.
Hey, Charles McPherson,
Yeah.
Detroit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wish I'd met Mel Dalton. It was unfortunately it passed before I even picked up an instrument. And
Me too, man. Me too.
yeah, it's just one of those unfortunate mistimings, you know.
Oh,
Same thing
yeah.
with Marcus Belgrave. I never got over to Detroit until I got into college. And just little things like that. You know, if you could go back and try not to live in regret, but you know, you think, oh, what if, you know?
Yeah. Some of my favorite players, besides Cannonball is always gonna be like number one. Johnny Griffin. I love Johnny Griffin. Charles McPherson. I really like Charles McPherson, and I'm biased because Detroit, Kenny Garrett. James Carter is actually one of my favorite saxophone players for sure. Just because like there's a connection there between him and my father, and my dad is one of my biggest inspirations on saxophone too. But like I got to play with James Carter at the Saxophone Center over Christmas break, and I saw him live for the first time too. But when we were playing, we were training force. We were playing Sandu, and it was like it was like I was training force, and I literally felt like I couldn't do anything, right? Because if it wasn't like, you know, some crazy technical lines, but then he could bring the volume all the way down and just like play something like, you know, like that, or it could go, you know, highest note, you know, possible, and I was just like, yo, like that's crazy. And like in high school when I was just like on YouTube, he like, before I really even could understand stuff, like I was just like, yo, like, well, not understand stuff, but I mean like understand like saxophone really, right? That's what I when I didn't get into a band, I found like one of James Carter's videos, and I was like, wait, the saxophone could do that? And that's when I was like, wait a minute, there's a whole nother world other than the Glazunov, you know, on saxophone.
Yeah, right.
Well, we wouldn't be here without
Jimmy Forrest. Yes.
Jimmy Forrest.
Oh yeah.
WMJS had a post about them yesterday. Just saying, you know.
Sorry to butt in, but Mr. Norris just reminded me. God, I love smooth jazz, man. I love Kirk Whalum. Gerald Albright is my man. Like, I'm so jealous that I don't have a bright sound, because I would be all in trying to do that.
Gerald Albright took a lot from Cannonball.
He really did. Cannonball, Maceo, man. Those
Yeah.
two. So I love Gerald. I listen to so much Kirk Whalum. It's kind of scary.
Sure, you listen to Kirk Whalum and Gerald Albright on the record, the one live in Birdland. Gerald Albright, they play like Limehouse.
Yeah.
I was like, yo, like
things that he did, bro. Woo.
Yeah.
I love that album. I love Gerald Albright. I love this this Brazilian guy named Douglas Lira that I found in high school, who I just absolutely adore. He's one of the cleanest saxophone sounds you've ever heard. Like, sorry, classical players, y'all better check this guy out. I'm just playing, but man, yeah, I love smooth jazz.
New Baroque though. I mean, yeah, bebop is the new Baroque though. Yeah. That's what I said.
It is, bro.
them trills back in the day, that's coolest, bro.
Gerald Albright, fire, yeah, man. Just like, the smooth jazz is so close to R&B, it's just a little slanted. So I always felt right at home listening to that stuff.
Yeah, beautiful. Well, it's always so cool to just hear who other people are checking out, who are, you know, people really passionate about hearing about their sounds, and you know, man, I really don't care that it's not cool or whatever that I'm saying this, but I mean, I love Kirk Whalum. I think Kirk's a great player. Like, what I mean,
Kirk was on a record with Rodney, you know.
Yeah.
Come on, bro.
I love Kirk Whalum, man. I really do. Gerald Albright, same thing. You know, Grover Washington Jr.
Grover, man. Yeah.
Like, just,
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
It's a no-brainer. I mean,
We can't
half
talk about
these smooth
Dylan
jazz cats
saxophone.
been playing in better time than all these straight ahead cats. You know, I'm
Straight up.
like, they're on time. You know, they got good phrasing. I mean, you can learn from it. You know, you show up to these wedding gigs, and no offense to all my straight ahead cats that are hustling, but they show up to these wedding gigs. They got to play top 40. They take a solo. They ain't really listening to the way you should be playing this kind of stuff. That you really just got to find your groove in a different way than you would, playing 300 BPM and stuff. So it's got its place,
Yeah, I want to respect everybody's time, but I want to just put in just an invitation for everybody to support all of these wonderful young musicians. So if you guys wanna hit up your handles on social media and all that stuff, and then if you want to talk about like a project that you got coming up or a gig that you got coming up or anything like that, um, here's the time to just brag about yourself, about what you got, what you've got going on.
Yeah. You guys can always hear from me on Facebook, Kevin Brewster, Instagram, Kevin Brewster Music. Um, yeah, just this past summer, I put out my first EP called For the Culture. I basically put that out just to represent my culture as a black young man and what I grew up, and just a few songs on there that I feel that not fully represent, our culture, but represent some of it, and stuff like that. You can find that all on all music platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, whatever, yeah, and all that stuff. And but yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah, on Facebook it's Houston Patton. I think it's either Houston Patton or H Pat Sax. I know it's H Pat Sax on Instagram. Very soon I'll release a 3-track EP. It might be all 3 tracks. We'll figure it out. But that's gonna be on there. We recorded it last year. With our old combo in Hope College. That's the one with Yes or No.
Oh, you're
Joe-
gonna release
Yeah,
that?
we'll release it. We'll put the dates on it though, so they know it was from a year from a year ago. But and we have another recording
Love it.
session next week. That we're gonna. There's 2 albums. It's gonna be one of mine and one of Dylan Sermon's, a bass player here at Hope College. But we're all gonna be on that record. So when that comes out, I'll definitely promote it, and also Bandcamp. I'll put it on Bandcamp first. So I mean, y'all can listen to it on Spotify and Apple Music and stuff when it's on there. But Bandcamp, you can buy it, and it really helps, right? Like, even if it's $5, that's like entry fee for a jam session. So yeah,
buy stuff on Bandcamp, y'all.
yeah.
Oh yeah, my turn. So yeah, my Alain Sullivan on Facebook. On Instagram, you can just type in my name, I'll pop up. But the username is Lemel. That's Lem as in Mary, ELLEKH2, all one. What am I doing? Sozon's an album with the group Sabbatical Bob that I played with a lot in college up until pandemic, and I got out of Ann Arbor before it got crazy, and so I didn't have to pay rent. But it's called That's a Vibe, available exclusively on Bandcamp. It's a lot of funk, R&B, jazz, crossover stuff, some rock in there too. And then this Saturday, February 5th, I'll be with, I'll call him the Incomparable, and I'm going to send this to him, the Incomparable Brendan Davis and his quartet at the Blue Llama Jazz Club in Ann Arbor. So we'll have a lot of fun then. So yeah, that's what's on the docket for me. So
Right on. You all are the best, and to the 5 to 7 people who have been here the whole time, thank you so much for listening. Speaking of Jazz is provided free by the West Michigan Jazz Society, and once again, I just want to give some flowers to each of these young musicians: Alain Sullivan, Houston Patton, Kevin Brewster. The young musicians are the future, and especially having heard and been around these 3 guys, they make me want to be better. So thanks everybody, and have a great night. Go support these young guys.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you,
thank
Dr.
you.
Thank
for
you.
sure.
Thank you, Jordan. Always a pleasure.